A drug test. There are two possible outcomes when a urine sample is tested, positive or negative. The negative result means freedom. The positive, more often than not, a guilty verdict in a court of law. For companies such as Norchem Drug Testing, located in northern Arizona, managers know how important accuracy in the testing process is. They perform forensic drug testing and contract with law enforcement agencies across the country to test samples delivered to their state-of-the-art secured testing lab. The multi-stage testing that every sample undergoes is designed to minimize the probability of an error in either direction. A test result that comes back positive when it's really not, a false positive, or a test result that comes back negative when it's not, a false negative. Of greater concern is the false positive, since the consequences of a positive drug test can be serious.
The consequences of a positive drug test they can be very severe, catastrophic in some cases. We work for law enforcement agencies, so when we give them a positive drug test, it could mean somebody back in prison or jail. It could be somebody on probation that now has some kind of an administrative sanction where their liberty is restricted for a period of time and they're put under house arrest. So the consequences are very severe.
To understand how Norchem has designed its drug testing process to be able to certify under oath that a sample has been accurately analyzed, let's take a look at how samples are tested. Each day, close to 5,000 samples are delivered via courier to the receiving department at the lab. The samples then move to the start of the testing process, where data about the sample, the tests required, and a unique ID number are assigned. Samples can be tested for any number of substances, including marijuana, opiates, alcohol, methamphetamines, and PCP. The samples then pass through a robotic initial screening test that will result in either a negative, no detected levels of the substance, or a presumed positive outcome. This machine is quality checked after every 30 samples. Those samples that tested negative are done and moved to storage for 7 to 14 days. The presumed positive samples move to a second test, which involves a manual and more rigorous testing methodology to avoid a false positive result and to identify the drugs present.
For a drug test to be what we call forensic or legally defensible, we have to test it more than once. Our first test is presumptive, and it's about 98% for sure that this is a positive drug test result. But that's not good enough to go into court and swear that we're absolutely sure. So we take it to a second test, and that second test is very, very specific, and it's very sensitive. So it's looking for the target compound, and we can actually take and not only identify that target very specifically, but we can measure how much is in the urine or the oral fluid.
Only now can Norchem certify the sample has tested positive. The samples from this test are stored anywhere from 6 months to a year, depending on the needs of the customer. Results are printed out and reviewed by one of Norchem's certifying scientists before being sent to the customer. Given the serious consequences of a false positive, a lot of effort is required to assure a positive test and to identify the suspected substances. Yet with 1 in 5 samples resulting in a positive or abnormal result, Norchem managers realize the rigor and quality of their testing process must be error-free to avoid false positive results.
Well, the risk of not doing it right is a disaster. We're going to restrict liberties that shouldn't be restricted. We're going to offer false testimony, so that would be the worst case. That's what every lab's nightmare is all about.